We have formed a partnership with Palantir, which is a leading data analysis company, to provide a platform so that researchers can share these data. Contrary to other concepts about data, is this platform would not acquire the data. The data would stay with the researchers, and the researchers would have full sovereignty over what happens with their data. But they could share this with colleagues or other research institutions. So we think that could really provide us with a lot of benefit. Currently, if a company or a research institute does research in, let's say, in immunotherapy, they have their own data about a couple of hundred patients. If we pool this worldwide, there's a high likelihood that we achieve a lot of progress in medicine.
And yet there is a squeamishness in the West about the use of data, and I think we've seen that expressed in Europe through the new data protection laws. To what extent do you feel that this may hold back the opportunity around using anonymized data sets to produce better outcomes?
Well, I think patients have a very legitimate interest in data privacy, or nowadays people talk about, I think, data sovereignty is the buzzword these days. So, i.e., the individual wants to know what's happening with his or her data, and they want to be able to decide that. So, it's even more important in biomedical research. These are very sensitive data, so we must take every measure possible to protect these data. We have actually no concern that data privacy will hold us back. We think there are very good solutions available so that we can safeguard privacy.
I was speaking to Arjun, our technology correspondent, about the differences between China, where he's now working, and indeed Europe, about our own privacy and our own data. And actually, the Chinese seem to have a very different attitude to it. They're happy to get the services and give up those freedoms, give up those privacies as well. Do you think that puts China and China life science and bio and pharma at an advantage going forward, the fact that they have this pool of data which there isn't the same squeamishness about?
We basically see an explosion in terms of research activities in China. Yeah. Right now, there is no Chinese company among the top 50 in the biopharmaceutical industry, but I'm absolutely certain that this is going to change. The Chinese government has adopted totally different policies. They're now very much in favor of intellectual property protection. They have reformed the Chinese FDA, which has become a lot more efficient and effective. Now, as we are servicing we are a biopharma player, but we're also servicing other biopharma players, research institutions in China. This is a mixed blessing. On the one hand, it means more competition. On the other hand, there's a lot of business opportunity for us.
There is a Jekyll and Hyde aspect to China, because even as there is huge unmet demand, the Chinese government has been very strong on pricing and said prices have to come down for key pharmaceutical drugs. What impact is that going to have on the ability to generate better margin in that market compared to the US, where most companies seem to get away with charging a lot more?
Well, the Chinese government, I feel, has achieved a lot. If you look at key parameters in Chinese society, maternal mortality, child mortality, life expectancy, etc., the Chinese government has done a pretty decent job. Never ever in history have more people been lifted out of poverty compared to the past 40 years. And the same has happened in medicine. If you look at the prices for medicines, so the Chinese government on the one hand puts a lot of emphasis on making essential medicines available at very low cost to the general population, and they had been very restrictive when it came to innovative medicine. That is changing. So we have there's pretty good access to essential medicines, and the Chinese market is opening up to innovative medicines. Prices are, China is not a paradise for the pharmaceutical industry, but it is a foreseeable environment in which we think we can work.
And just